So my mom subscribed to your YouTube channel because she saw Mixed Feelings. And she asked me, what's a Fernibus?
So the evolution of my name, my nickname at least, has been really weird because there's like 4 people in my friend group named Joey. So my friend started calling me Fernie because of my last name, and we needed to separate everyone so that we know who we're talking to, because you would say Joey and then everyone would turn their head to look. Started off as Fernie, and then we would like be playing a video game and then or whatever, we'd just be talking and then people would be like Furnace, like just adding things to my name as a joke. And like if my friend's name was Danny, I'd be like Dando or Dandondo, like just like adding stuff onto the name, just like because lol, random humor. And then it just turned into like Fork, like just saying a word that started with an F and I would know who you're talking about. And then it came back to Fernie when we got into high school, and then some of my friends just like when they're like getting my attention or texting me, they'd be like Fernibus, this. So I just turned my nickname into Fernibus. And I've had a lot of different YouTube names, but I finally settled on Fernibus because I needed something quick and something that sounds good, and I think Fernibus does the job.
It's gonna be a great episode, Fork. Hi, my name is Katy Someillan, your humble host as always, and welcome to the 20th ever episode of Young and Terrified. Today, my guest, once again, is Fernie. Hello.
Oh.
How have your past 24 hours been?
So yeah, my past 24 hours have been pretty much the same as last time. I bought Black Ops 4 yesterday and kind of got absorbed by it because it's just a really good change of pace of Call of Duty and I really like it. And I was watching a lot of live performances from artists that I like at the same time, so it was really cool. It was fun.
What artist?
I was listening to Courtney Barnett, which is an amazing lyricist, and her guitarist is amazing. And I was listening to Hop Along. They did a live session with KEXP, and it's amazing. She has a beautiful voice. Well, I mean, beautiful in rock, like a punk rock kind of beautiful voice. And then also some car seat headrests, which always finds its way in there because they're amazing.
And, like, I know absolutely none of those people, which is great because music is diverse and such. But I am trying to get more into, like, punk rock and, like, that type of genre because it is a full genre that I did listen to a lot in 2015. And I feel a reversal. I don't know if you're feeling this, but I feel a reversal back to myself in 8th grade as, like, in, like, a small emo. I don't know if you're feeling this, but I really am.
For me, it never went away. I just, it was always there. I've never not listened to rock, and then punk rock came in like late elementary school, early middle school, and it never left. And then now, junior year is when I started actually getting into rap, which for a long time I was like, I like everything except country and rap. And now I'm like, I love everything except country. Because I don't think, except Take Me Home Country Road, there's no good country song.
That is the best country song. I just learned it on the ukulele. It is a great song. So, Fernie, you're on again, back here, back again. And the reason is why. We just released a thing. What is the thing?
We released Mixed Feelings, which was exciting and scary and yeah, just a bunch of emotions.
It was so fun to work on it. Now, this thing, what is this thing for the uninitiated?
Well, it's a cartoon idea that I've had for years. I've always been into superheroes, and I had this idea of this guy that gets powers at random. And I actually did a rough draft of it last year for a competition, but it was awful because I was the only one working on it, and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any of the characters developed, and it was going to be pretty much a silent cartoon because I was kind of lazy. I do like the design from the other one, though, for Kyle. But I brought you and Richie on because you guys had talents that I didn't have. You really helped me flesh out the characters and write a story that was cohesive. And Richie just added like a layer of goodness with the original music instead of having to rip from YouTube audio library for everything. But basically, Mixed Feelings is about this guy, Kyle, who has these abilities that kind of, at the time when they first happen, he thinks they're at random, and then later they figure out what it might be. And then I want to make a show Bible about it because I really want to make this into a series. I just got to get on that and stop being lazy.
Yeah. So when you invited me on the project and you kind of gave me the sales pitch for it, I was like, this is amazing. And yes, I would love to, because like one of the things I really wanted to do when I was like younger, I really wanted to get into like writing for content on the internet and such. And I've kind of like taken the approach of what would sixth grade me want to see in a role model figure. And that's when you approach me this project, I'm like, I don't know, it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a whole lot of stuff. I'm like, but it's summer. Like, this is a summer of making stuff. And I was like, yes, I fully support this. Let's go write this thing. So we wrote this thing. And it was a collective of 3 Starbucks meetups.
Yes.
2 or 3 Starbucks.
Were they all Starbucks? I think so.
They're all different Starbuckses.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk through the process of like how this started from start to finish. So, what was the first part of this thing?
Like ever? Like the inception?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it kind of, I've always made characters and drawn comics and everything, like ever since I could hold a pencil or a crayon. I think I said that last podcast, but whatever. I was drawing and drawing characters based on, like, I used to make characters, like groups of characters that all had like a similar ability, kind of like the Power Rangers or something, but it was always a different thing. Like, and I was also obsessed with Animal Planet, so it was like the Power Rangers that could turn into animals, and they all had names that started with the same letter as the animal they were. And like they're like, I still have a stack of all these drawings, just a bunch of characters. But when I got into 4th grade, me and my friend, instead of paying attention in class, we would either be learning Pig Latin or making these comics about a character that I made when an unfortunate incident happened during a very quiet computer class, and I'm not going to say much, but the character's name is Farticus, and I just made comics about these when I was in 4th grade, and I was like, I want to do more stories because I was into Spider-Man and like all these characters that I looked up to, and I wanted to make a show or a comic about them. So that's when I was like, what superpowers can they have? And then it just kind of led to having all these superpowers but not knowing how to control them.
And that's so much like me, because around that same time is when I started writing. So like I would write like my own little stories. Like I think like the first story I remember writing was one where like these animal crackers, they're like for listener context, Fernie just almost did a spit take. But yeah, so I wrote a script about these animal crackers. They're in a box, and they're like, where are we going? It's so dark. And you're like, I finally see the light, to realize that they're meant to be eaten by this, like, 3-year-old on a road trip to Disney. And I was like, I rewrote it today. I'm like, oh my God, so morbid. Like, that is so sad. Why would I write that? But that's like the first time I wrote. And it was on the same time you wrote that. I was also bored in class and got in trouble for writing in class, like, all the time. Like, I have, like, stacks of notebooks as well of just writing. So, beyond that, continuing, where does this path continue to?
I mean, it just, like, it led to me having the idea of a character that has a bunch of powers, trying to draw him, but, like, he wasn't very specific, so I really couldn't, and I was younger, so I didn't know how to draw people that I wasn't looking, like, if I wasn't looking at a cartoon character, I really couldn't draw something that was comprehensible to the human eye. So I just kind of sat on it forever, and it was a really, really basic idea when I first got it. I was like, he gets these powers that he can see. He looks at someone and then he can copy their power or like make up a power or something. So it was just a really overpowered person. And then as I got older and I was like in 6th and 7th and like middle school, I found like these old drawings that I had tried to make, and I thought about the character again. And I was like, oh, this could be a cool idea if it was just random powers. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I sat on it again. And then sophomore and junior year were a really emotional time for me. So I just kind of like started drawing again and like looking at old drawings, and I found the character again. And I was like, this would be really cool if it was like Mob Psycho, but not just straight up anger, but just every emotion, and the powers have the powers have the type of, like, if it was anger, there was fire. If there was fear, it was also a big inspiration of this was the Super Princess Peach game on DS. Do you remember that?
I don't, but I want to.
So
I want to remember.
It's basically a Mario game, but you're playing as Peach, and it's actually a really fun game. And I stole it from my sister so that I could play it on road trips. But basically, you're playing as Peach, and you have an umbrella, and you can eat characters, kind of like Kirby, and then depending on what you eat or what you charge up, you have 4 icons on the touch screen. It's like sadness, joy, anger, and another one. I forgot the other one. And like you press on the one that you filled up, and then you have an ability based on it. So like anger was fire. It's just a really great game, and I don't know why more people don't talk about it.
That's crazy. Oh my god, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that about that.
But yeah, those are some inspirations.
Yeah. It's funny how you say sophomore, junior year, because junior year is when we met at in September. We went to see a Green Day concert. And I was like kind of like at a creative low. I was like, I can't write anything good. I met you guys and I was like, these people are so creative. Like, I want to make stuff again. And that's actually how this podcast started because of that meeting. And also I just started writing again. I started like updating my portfolio and I just started writing. I'm like, I want to make something big. I want to make something that I'm proud of. I want to make something collaborative. And yeah, so that's kind of where we somehow met, like out of like some crazy coincidence.
And it's always really important for creative people to meet. I hate calling myself a creative person.
I know, me too.
But calling myself an artist almost seems worse.
It's almost more pretentious.
Yeah. Anyway, for people who like to make art or any medium that's like to be shared or any form of expression, it's really important that these people make groups or meet people with similar interests, because it just makes a circle of creativity. And I can tell because in sophomore and the beginning of junior year, before we actually started hanging out, or just like talking or whatever, I would walk into my art teacher who I had in 8th grade, and then he moved to my high school to teach because he also went to my high school and he got a job there. And I would walk into his class after to like hang out before my parents picked me up. And he'd ask me what I'd be working on. I was like, nothing. And he'd be like, why are you so depressed? And I'm like, I'm not. I just haven't made anything. And I was depressed. But when I started meeting more creative people like you and my friends that I've made online, it helps you to have kind of a friendly competition. Because I don't know, I noticed this thing between, and not to throw shade at drama kids, but
okay, but I'm a drama kid, so I'm about to be offended.
So drama kids, I've noticed from personal experience that when there's someone that's better than them, it's more of I want to take their spot than I want to get as good as them.
It's kind of true, yeah.
And then from my personal experience, you meet an artist that's better than you, and you're like, how? And then I want to get as good as you. And then usually the people who are better artists will help the the less experienced artists to get to their level, and then they just keep going. And it's a really just like, I don't know, it's very healthy, I think.
Yeah, because I think teaching someone how to be a better artist and then teaching someone how to be a better actor, it's two different skill sets. Whereas acting, I feel, is way more innate. Whereas like artists, like it's innate, but it can be grown. So, and like having that support system just is so good. So good. Like, I love throwing like my love and support to like artist friends of mine. I'm like, keep doing it. Yes. Good. Continue. Because I'm like, I want to be everyone's number one cheerleader at all times. And that is like my goal.
The difference, I think, personally, between fine arts and performance arts is that fine arts, drawing, animation, all that stuff is more like a muscle, which can be like strengthened. And if you don't draw enough, you lose it. It's more like a muscle that needs to be worked out. And acting is more like being in touch with different emotions all the time to know. And like, it's both are very observatory, where you have to like know, you have to look at something to know how to portray it. But acting is a lot more personality based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about like actually going forward with mixed feelings. When did you get the idea that I have to make this thing? This is a thing that has to be made right now.
So like I said, I was sitting on it for a long time. And then last year, every year in high school, starting sophomore year, I tried to make a short animation to submit to competition during the year, because I'm in broadcast and my moderator wants to have me submit these animations so that we can win awards and I can possibly get scholarships, and it's like a really good opportunity. The thing is, each time that I've like told like the deadline is this, not only do I get less motivated, because when I'm given a deadline, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then not only was I less motivated, but I didn't have any ideas. So like it was like 2 weeks straight, both years, of just like, what am I gonna do? And it just leads to a road of like self-doubt, where for me, when I make a line, I hate it. Like, just the line. Like, when I make a line to start a sketch or a drawing, it's just like, why? And then finally this year, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this. I have creative friends now that can help me, and they have talents that I don't have. And I used to be a very like solo person. Like, I don't want to work with people. I mean, with drawing, I still very much am. I don't want to work with other people unless they understand my message, or
Throwing
know
the full shade.
That I can work with them. But you guys are really good at what you do. You're a really good writer. Richie's a really good musician. And then we both gave our hand in voice acting.
Oh my god! No, that's a whole. That's we need to talk about that next. But I wanted to say that I understand the whole writing solo or doing your art solo, because I have such issues when I was in a creative writing class and I was like, I have to write with other people. Like, are you insane? I want this to come out of my head and have full credit for it, because I'm such an attention whore. It's not even funny and it's just so much easier because I know how my brain works. I don't know other people's creative timeline. I don't know, it's almost unfathomable, like trying to work with other people and trying to come out on time with good quality work. And just, this project made me understand that combining skill sets with people is kind of maybe the best way of collaboration. So this is a much smaller scale project, granted, that we were able to do different things for different people. But I think us like writing together was really fun because it was bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think we are very similar in the ways that we work, where I think we're a little bit both chronic procrastinators, but at the same time we have ideas for things.
Yeah, like I still have it, but like I had this list of ideas and jokes and things that I want to use in future projects, and I write it down and I'm like, this is a good idea. And then I throw my phone on my bed and just keep watching YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, I never act on things, creatively at least. And it's good. It feels really good when I do. And I should do it more. But, yeah, I just got to stop procrastinating.
Yeah.
But it was really good for me to work with you with the writing because I got to see which of my jokes are really not good and which ones, even if it just starts as me saying something because I think... So basically, you should invite me over sometime and we should make a sandwich. The line,
yeah, that wouldn't have happened. That really wouldn't.
That wouldn't have happened if I was on my own. I probably would have cut away from it straight to class.
Yeah.
But it gives it a good ending to the scene, and it's really surprising to me when I show someone that piece and they laugh. I was like,
yeah,
really?
like,
you
I'm
think that's
funny? What? Yeah.
But yeah, and then just being able to tap into other people's minds to see what they're thinking about your idea. Although sometimes you're gonna be like, I don't want that from my character at all. But a lot of times it's like, I didn't even think about that. Like that's an amazing idea. And it's just a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah. Actually, I think my favorite writing day though was the day that we recorded and we were putting the final edit on the writing. That was maybe like one of the funniest days and like the hardest I've ever laughed, like ever, because you're adding in some like last minute jokes and like Richie was putting his input and like we were all like putting our input in that moment. We were like like it kind of like it went out of our heads and like Richie looked at it, he's like, no, like change it. Like, like he said like, oh, change it. Like, we're like, okay. And then like we made it like 10 times better.
The good thing is we all have, while we kind of have similar like senses of humor, they're very different. They're different in like certain ways. Like Richie saw this joke and it's like, this is some 2006 lol random humor and it does not belong in our cartoon. And I was like, I would read it again and I'm like, yeah, you're right. No, it's dumb. But it's really... I just keep saying the same thing. It's just really healthy and really good that we did that.
It was really wholesome, really wholesome. So
that was a great day.
That was a really great day. So on to that same day, recording it. was also the funniest thing because we're actually we record in the same exact room with the same exact setup, and it was just really fun to like hear us like try to like act in which I'm not an actor. I believe, are not an actor. I think the most actory of all of us was Richie.
Yeah.
He was like our acting coach, and like major props to him for that.
Yeah. I mean, I did a Spanish PSA that was on TV once, but it wasn't really. Yeah. I used to do print work and commercials all the time.
Oh, wow.
Me and my sister did something for Universal, actually. We were on a Universal brochure.
You're kidding.
Yeah, we got to go to the park before it was open. We went to Harry Potter Land, and there was like people walking around with like sweepers and just like picking up stuff off the floor. It was really eerie. It was really uncomfortable. And
I
then, like,
need to see this brochure.
I don't think we've ever found it, because the thing with print work and commercials is this is getting off on like a completely different tangent, but you record it and film it like it's a full day thing, like 10 hours of filming, sometimes 2 days of filming, and like a few hours of like print work, and then you never see it again until like a year later when you randomly stumble upon it. It's like crazy. Like my little sister did a Club Penguin mobile commercial, and we didn't see it for 2 years. Emma, on her first casting, she did a Go-Gurt commercial. I don't know if you remember.
Crazy.
I don't know if you remember the Go-Gurt Win and Give, where the girl goes to the door and there's a seal there, and there's like animals and stuff. I remember that. That was my little sister.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cool. But yeah, so I guess acting day was really fun. You have some experience that I did not know about. Yeah. So acting day was really fun. It took us maybe like 2-3 hours to record.
I think it was more. I mean,
it was long.
Well, when we got here, it was like middle of the day. Yeah, I think, and we spent a lot of the time rewriting, and just like fixing up a little bit of things that I think it really helped that we did, and then we spent a lot of time also recording. So it was a long day of work.
It was. We were here to like 6:30. From it was like a 5-6 hour ordeal. But in the end, it was really fun. It took me longer to. There's that one thing where I was like, you're saying wrong. I'm like, how can you say wrong?
Oh, because
Yeah.
in
What is it?
in the scene where he goes, we should make a sandwich. I wanted someone. What's it called? I had a very specific sound in mind. There was like,
That
and-
was the worst thing.
And for some reason, like, I'm not faulting you, but like I didn't know how to communicate that it's like, so like it spikes at the beginning and then kind of fades out.
That took 20 minutes.
And it took so many, and then I ended up cutting it.
I know, I realized that. No, when you cut it, I was like,
I cut a lot of things, mostly for time, because I
Yeah.
procrastinated too much, but also because when you have a piece of audio and you think it works, but you're looking and you're like, how do I animate this to look, instead of just a mouth moving, I didn't know how to draw that expression. Or I tried and I just couldn't get it right, and then out of frustration I just deleted it from the scene.
forever lost in the ether is that little soundbite.
There's more stuff that I cut that I can't even remember because I don't know. And when you're working on something like that for months and you're just hearing the same jokes and lines over and over again, you're like, I am so sick of this. And I already don't like my voice. But then hearing that over and over and over again is really grating.
Yeah. So moving into the actual animation process, how was that stretch of months?
To be honest, I procrastinated way too much until I was like, oh no, there's a deadline I have to meet. And then you were like, I'm going to be on you. You have to do that. And then you were, and it helped. And then the deadline came and I only had like 1:45 seconds done. My moderator was like, look, I know it takes a long time. And he gave me an extension on the deadline until October 1st. And then I still procrastinated a little bit. And then finally, on the last week, I was like, I made a group chat with all my friends, and then I also messaged you a list that I had made on my notes app. And I was like, okay, these days I'm working on these things. Don't let me forget. And then I didn't sleep that whole week, which was 2 weeks ago, actually. And then last week I couldn't stay up in class. But I guess more about the actual animation. Just like, I don't know where to start talking about that.
How, from start to finish, what were the steps you had to take in that process?
Okay. Well, I guess for people that don't really know about animation, which is most of the people on Earth, because it's really boring to learn about and really tedious to do, you basically start with your audio that we recorded first. And people don't seem to realize that you record audio before you animate so that you can sync the lips to the words. Because if not, it just looks like a dub, even though it's not. But basically, I took the audio, I put it in Adobe Animate, and you do a sketch version of the animation. So you sketch the animation so it's like scratchy. It's like a moving sketch, and then you line it and color it and everything. And you do that a lot, over and over again. And then you also have to do backgrounds, and then I edited it and put it in Premiere. I put it in Premiere and edited it, and then you add the music and everything. And something that you realize when you're editing audio and everything is that when you have a car pulling up and it's silent and it's really weird, you have to have sound behind that, or else it just looks really awkward. So that's something that you learn by doing that. I honestly don't know where to go with this.
Yeah, no, but that really is, because that, you saying that it felt like I was, there in the process. That's, so many steps. It's very solitary, and it's kind of a little directionless. Even though you know what's going to happen, scene by scene, we've planned this out. You had, the vision in your head. It's I know what this looks like. But just trying to make that happen, and to make that leap to make it happen, it's an ordeal.
Another thing that you have to think about is the shot composition, which is something I've never actually took into consideration, even though I've always been into film and all these things that really emphasize cinematography and everything. I was like, I should probably make this look really good. So I focused on color, I focused on shot composition, and I tried my best to have creative moving shots, even though I was on a time crunch. And next time I definitely want to make it more animated, have some really, maybe even a fight scene or just something really cool with like the anime style sweeping camera movement, all that stuff. I'd love to learn how to do that. But just all these things that I learned from doing one project. And just like you can see the art and like how you draw the characters kind of evolve while you're doing the cartoon, which isn't a good thing, but it's cool to see.
Well, so now that it's out, it's finally here. What has happened since then?
So I released it on Newgrounds and YouTube. And YouTube at the moment is the lesser of the two view count wise.
Which is surprising.
Honestly, yeah, because I had way more followers on YouTube, or subscribers, I guess. But the thing is about Newgrounds is when you submit something to the Newgrounds portal, it goes into a review. So people on the website who are cleared to review things, I think you have to be cleared, I'm not sure, but basically they review it, see if it should be put on the thing, they give it an actual like rating, like E to M kind of thing, and then they give it a star rating, and then they vote yes or no whether it should be on the website. And I think mine is still under review, but it has a 3.67, which is almost a 4 stars. I got daily second place on the website for October 8th, I think. And the reviews so far have been really good, really constructive. That's what I like about Newgrounds is it's other artists reviewing artists and giving criticisms that are useful. Like one guy was like, oh, by the way, you forgot to animate this one line. And it's on the couch when it pans over to Anna and... what's it called? Guy says something, but it's faded out. So I didn't realize that he was talking, and it's just, you just see Guy's mouth like not moving, and I was like, oh well.
Boy.
But yeah, and it's just really good to see that the people in Newgrounds at least were really excited to see what was happening next. And also the creator of the website, Tom Fulp, followed me on Newgrounds.
That's crazy.
Which puts a lot of pressure on me for the next time I upload something. It has to be good because I'd like to show him that I'm not just a kid making really, like, I don't know, really mediocre stuff and I got lucky one time. I'd like to show my skills just in case. This is like pie in the sky. Like, yeah. If this happened, like, just like he'd be like, hey, you want to do the website art, because he has people do like the art behind like the icons and everything is different like every month, I think. So he hires an artist to do that. So I want to start uploading on Newgrounds a lot more. I want to start learning how to make games, and I'd really love to make a mixed feeling game. Kind of like...
that sounds... okay, I have not heard about that, but that is so cool. Yeah. And it's so cool. Oh my god. Okay, guys. Well... Mixed Feelings is out on YouTube. It's out on Newgrounds. And yeah, so where is this going to go forward for you? Like, what's the next step?
Well, for Mixed Feelings or just in general?
In general.
In general, I just want to keep making... I want to make a show Bible for Mixed Feelings, which, if you don't know, is like basically the rules of the world. How, like, for instance, mine would be like how Kyle's powers work, Anna's personality, Guy's personality, so that the people who are portraying them, you and Rishi, if you still want to keep doing it,
I'm more than happy to,
can know how they should be into their character, and then even add their own spins to it, just that kind of stuff. My moderator put me as the head of the film for a small challenge that is coming up. Well, not small. It's a short challenge in a big national scope for film and animation. Well, I'm technically in the film section, but my moderator wants me to do an animation to see if that helps us win or just to do something different, which is going to be difficult. I have a team of 4, though, so that should help a little bit. And Kathy's going to help me write I don't know who I'm talking to, and you're gonna help me write.
It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna really be a good time.
I also want to make another animation by March 1st of 2019 to see if I can get another thing on my portfolio, and that's also when Suncoast Emmys are submitted. See if I can get an Emmy for something I made this year. And then, probably work on Mixed Feelings a little bit more. Hopefully try to see about learning to code a game or finding someone that would be into it. So, yeah.
Well, all the links for Mixed Feelings are going to be down in the description. Major good vibes going your way for all that. I believe in you, and creative team like forever, you know?
Thank you.
Forever and ever. Let's do this. As we all know, it's Spooktober. It's a time for spooks and skeletal boys and watching Hocus Pocus. It's a great movie. Hocus Pocus.
It sounds familiar. I'm going to feel terrible when I look it up
This year's
now.
like the 25th anniversary of Hocus Pocus.
Oh, God, I feel so stupid. Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, so the listener knows, Fernie is now looking up Hocus Pocus because he can't remember.
Okay. Yes,
he
it's
can't
the Disney
remember
one.
An American icon.
Never seen it. I've seen the commercials for it on Disney Channel, and it's like, we're playing Hocus Pocus this week. And then, no.
Yeah, it's Spooktober. So, do you enjoy Halloween?
Yes, but for the past few years, I think sophomore year I didn't go out. Junior year I did, but it was just like me and a friend. And then like just recently in the past few years, it's been like, I think I'm not too old, but just getting bored of trick-or-treating, which sounds awful, because I like going out with friends, but like last year actually, I already had my car, so we were just driving around blasting the iCarly theme song, and like that's what we were doing.
So cursed.
That's what we were doing.
That's really cursed. That's cursed.
And it was fun, but we weren't trick-or-treating. I think we went to a house, and then we got yelled at because there was a baby in the house, but they had their decorations up, but the lights were off. But we just figured the curtains were closed, so we knocked, and then the mom came out screaming at us because they had a baby asleep. I was like, "What do you expect to happen? Put a sign on your door."
That's really cursed. Yeah. So I've also thought about like, okay, what is too old to go trick or treating? Because on the one hand, I really love Halloween. And I like trick or treating because I like going in groups and like it's mostly not for like getting the candy. It's mostly just like just hanging out at night. And the neighborhood I live in is very, very, very dark. So it's fun, and people in the neighborhood, they actually like put stuff together to make little haunted houses, and it's cute.
That's cool.
And I like dressing up, and I also look like I'm 15. So like I look like really young for my age, so I can get away with getting candy and not saying, "Hey, aren't you a little too old for this?" I'm like, "Aren't you a little too old for life?" But yeah. So, what are your best Halloween memories?
I think my favorite, costume-wise, my favorite costume has been when I was probably like 11 or 12, or probably 12 or 13. I was Mayhem from the Allstate commercials. So I was wearing like
Wait, for real?
Yeah, I was wearing a suit. I had a pink what's it called? A pink headband, pink weights, and I was like, I am so cool. I had like butterfly stitches on my face. I was like so happy with my costume. And then for 3 or 4 years in a row, I've been Spider-Man with my Hot Topic Spider-Man mask. Just because I always forget that I want to do something for Halloween. And this year, I don't know if we're going to a costumed party, probably not, but I'd like to do something at least like clothes-wise. Like even if I was like, even if I made the Tom Holland Spider-Man, like his suit, I'd like to do that. I just like love Spider-Man, so I'd like to be Spider-Man again.
I'm wondering with Mayhem, did people recognize who you were? For real?
Yeah, because that was like the year that Mayhem was hilarious because he had all the commercials. And I was like, this would be a cool costume. So I did it. But yeah, going up to my dad and being like, Dad, we need to go to Sports Authority. And I was like, what? And I go, yeah, I need 1 pound weights. And he goes, you're going to start working out? And he goes, no, I'm going to be mayhem. They need to be pink.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I started, like, these past couple years, I go thrifting instead because I'm, like, cool and stuff. But, yeah, I go thrifting for my costumes. There's a lot of costumes that, like, I buy stuff for, but then I realize this is way too much work. Like, one year I wanted to be the Wii Fit trainer. So I almost bought, like, 2, like, things of, like, Snazaroo gray paint. I'm like, okay, wait. Let me take a step back here. How much work is this going to be? And
how humid it's going to be, like, down here in Florida, and you're going to sweat it off probably immediately.
Yeah, so I didn't take that to account when I, like, originally got the idea, because I had this idea from, like, February, because I think of Halloween starting February. So, yeah, this year I've been dedicated, and I'm working towards making a Kill Bill Beatrix Kiddo costume.
That's cool.
And I got my wig in, and she is so beautiful. What are some childhood Halloween memories? Like, were there some, like, traditions that you did as a child, or?
Not really. I mean, there weren't a lot of kids. There's not a lot of kids in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of them were either, when I was, like, prime age for trick-or-treating, most of my neighbors were already, like, our age. And then by the time I was, like, in middle school, me and my sister and, like, a bunch of, like, 1-year-olds from new parents that had moved in were the only kids in the neighborhood. So there wasn't really anything to do except walk around to the neighbors I see every day and be like, candy, please. And then that's whatever. And I don't think I've gone trick-or-treating. Oh, actually, we one year went trick-or-treating at, I forgot the name of the place. Ocean, whatever. Basically, it's kind of like a beach club, but they do this thing every year where you get a golf cart and you decorate the golf cart, and then you basically go in a big convoy to different neighborhoods and you just trick-or-treat there, and it's really cool. I had a really cool, a really cool costume from one of the catalogs that was a punk rock zombie, and it was, like, probably my favorite costume ever, but the way the plastic was molded and packaged, the mask got, like, bent and, like, I couldn't unbend it. So it was like a rubber plastic mask, kind of, and you would put it over your head, and it was a half mask where you had, like, the cheekbones and the nose and the eyes were open, but the thing is, one of the eye things was, like, bending into my eye, so I had to, like, put toilet paper there so it wouldn't irritate me. But it was a really cool costume. I had, like, an axe guitar, kind of like Marceline, but, like, not Marceline from Adventure Time. I mean, yes, Marceline in Adventure Time, but it didn't look like that.
Okay, yeah.
And the mask had finger bones sticking out of the head for a mohawk. It was really cool. It was a really cool costume and probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, like, thinking back to, like, my Halloween memories, like, I've always taken Halloween, like, super duper seriously. 1 year, though, I got lazy. Like, this was, like, the first year that I was like, I don't think Halloween's for me anymore, and that's, like, freshman year. And I was a Mormon from the Book of Mormon, and I was like, people were like, no, I don't want your book. And I'm like, I'm not that. Like, come back, please. I like theater.
Give me candy.
Give me theater. Give me candy. I like theater. Stop. Yeah.
You don't have to talk about God. Just give me candy, please.
At what age did you feel like, oh, this Halloween's not for me anymore?
I think probably last year, even though I had a lot of fun just hanging out with my friends, I was like, we're like losers. Because it's me and my other friend. We literally pulled up next to each other and we synced up the iCarly theme song on our phone, and we were just, like, driving around, and it was a lot of fun, but we're, I don't know, not doing anything Halloween-y. So I feel like trick-or-treating at least gets old. It should be done, like, up until maybe, like, sophomore year, the latest. But then junior year, I mean, I think high school's when people start going to parties instead of going trick-or-treating.
Yeah, but it's also a Wednesday. Where do you expect me to go on a Wednesday?
Usually the parties are held the weekend before or after.
Yeah. I mean, like...
Which, it's not even Halloween, but it's a Halloween-themed thing, so I guess, whatever.
Yeah. Are you watching anything Halloween? Halloween. It's Halloween, boys. Yeah. Are you watching anything Halloween related this month?
The thing is, I really don't like horror movies. Not because I'm scared. Not saying that I don't get scared, but like, just like because I know about movie making and everything. Usually, it's like when I watched Alien, even though it's kind of the scares and everything are kind of dated and like super like parodied and everything. So the first time I watched Alien, I was like, oh, I've seen this a million times. This is gonna happen, and then it did happen. But it's a really great movie. So things like, actually, I want to see Hereditary again.
Oh, you have not?
Hereditary,
wait, have you seen it?
Hereditary is amazing.
Oh, Hereditary is such a good movie.
See, the thing is, I went to see it with Richie, and me and Richie were watching, and we were like, this is amazing. This is so cool. This is like a really good spin on a really good horror movie. And then, but the way that they advertised it was as a really cliched, like...
Exactly.
Like, it's the Exorcist of our time. It's like, they advertised it how they advertised The Nun, basically.
Yeah.
Even though The Nun's advertising was awful and The Nun was awful. But Hereditary was a really great, like, composition, like cinematography-wise, score-wise. I actually don't remember much of the score, so I can't really say that.
No, the score was actually great. Like, I remember it was...
the acting was great, except when the brother cried. It sounded like he was laughing.
No, the brother cried, I think, was maybe the best part of the movie. But that movie is so good.
But the thing is, at the end, Richie and I were like looking at each other. We were like, "This is amazing." And then what sucks is that the people who went there were expecting. They thought it was a date horror movie where you go with your date and they're like, oh, I'm so scared. But it was a genuine attempt at good horror and really good character study. So when it finished, people were like, what was that? Like, that was so weird and dumb. And I was like, it was so good. The only thing that I hated was at the end when they were like, I don't know how far we can go into spoilers, but like...
Yeah, spoilers for Hereditary, like, skip to, like, the next
It's going to be, like,
in
in
30
seconds.
Yeah.
When they're like, you are the king, Charlie, and they, like, had literally shown what was happening in a book highlighted, I was like, you can kind of figure it out, and even if you don't, it's cool that it's just kind of up in the air, but whatever.
If you're doing a rewatch, count me in.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that. And I also want to... watch Over the Garden Wall again, because that is a really seriously great miniseries. I guess, I mean, Hilda goes into the Christmas time, but Hilda is a great show. If you haven't seen it, it just came out on Netflix, and it's amazing. Probably, it's a great mixture of tweened and frame-by-frame animation, and it just looks really solid. And just like the character design is great, and I want to read the comic because it was a comic first. So yeah, it's really cool stuff like that.
And that's Spooktober for you guys. You know, it's happening. It's now. Join the Skeletal Army. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back to the podcast after this. Hey guys, it's Katy Someillan, your humble host, back at you with some housekeeping for this week. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for listening to this podcast, even if it's your first episode or your 20th episode. Thanks a lot. You can listen to this podcast on YouTube, you can like the podcast, and you can subscribe to the podcast. How cool. As well as that, you can go on iTunes and you can subscribe to the podcast and give it a rating. Give it a nice rating. Make me happy. You can go over on Twitter and follow us at young_terrified and on Instagram at youngandterrified. On Snapchat, you can find me, Katy So, that is Katy S-O-M-E. As well as that, you can follow Fernie on Instagram at I believe Fernibus. If not, I'll change it down in the description. It's all gonna be there. And on top of that, the cherry on top, me, Fernie, and a past member of the podcast, Richie, we released a short film, as we talked about, and you should go watch it because we worked really hard in it, and it was a lot of fun, so You can find it on YouTube and Newgrounds, and as well as all those other links. It can be found in the description. So go over there, go watch it, support us. And I'll support you in listening to the rest of this episode right now. And we are back, thanks to me in the future for recording that message. But right now, Fernie, I'm going to ask you a question. And that is, if you could resurrect anything or anyone, who or what would it be?
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a different take on the answer here, but there's a rapper that I really like his lyricism of, but he stopped doing what he does, so I'd really like to bring back Samsa from the artist.
Oh my
grave.
God, yes! Oh my God, okay, you're the only person that, understands how I feel about Samsa. I really like his stuff a lot.
I love his music, and around the time when I first started getting really into it, and I went to go follow his Twitter, and his Twitter was like, "I'm done, guys. Thank you guys for listening." I was like, no, please.
I didn't know that.
He's not making music anymore. At least he hasn't released anything on Samsa in months, probably almost a year now.
I'm really sad now.
But if you haven't listened to his music, it's really great, really funny. I think my favorites would probably be Anthropocene, Tinder Samurai, and Butterflies.
There's one that he did. It was something like you can rectify it, something. Wait, oh my God, it was about...
I think that's Haunt Me.
Yes! Okay, that's Haunt Me.
That's a good Halloween song.
That is a great Halloween song. See, that's the Halloween mood. Guys, go listen to Haunt Me. Go listen to Samsa. Go listen to Samsa. For real. Not enough people listen to him. It makes me really sad because... Maybe we can resurrect him. Resurrect his music. Maybe he can be our Frankenstein's monster. In a good way. Not the Mary Shelley way.
You can rectify it if you haunt me through my screen.
Okay.
So good. Okay.
So good. Well, Fernie, it's been really great having you on. It's been really great, after working on this mixed feelings project thing, that finally we kind of get to put a bookend on the first chapter of it here, kind of. I feel that's how it be. So, to end us off, to talk us out, I'd like to ask you, since it's your second time, what are you terrified of?
Well, I'm terrified of two things. One of them is a little bit more physical than the other, but I'm really scared of someone, a lot of my, when I wake up at night and I go to cross the hallway to go to the bathroom or to go to the kitchen, I turn on the flashlight on my phone, I look both ways before I cross the hallway, and I go into the bathroom, I turn on the light and shut the door. And I don't know where this fear came from. I mean, it's not just... I'm not scared of the dark. I'm scared of, in general, having someone staring at me while I don't know. And then just, looking and seeing that they're looking at me. That just, sends shivers down my spine. Or just seeing... This is a really basic thing, but, seeing the silhouette of, someone or something in, the dark and just, barely being able to make it out.
Same with me, except sometimes I have seen a small baby lizard find its way into my house at night. So I will turn the flashlight as well. I will look both ways as well. And I open the bathroom, I look both ways. Because one time, I found the lizard just kind of just walked right past me. I'm like, nope. So I'm like, you know what? No need. The bathroom's yours. Yeah.
I'm also, you bring up a good point. I don't like lizards. I love snakes, but lizards, for something must have happened, and my mind represses it. My mind represses it, but I don't know why. I see a lizard, and I walk the other way. And I've gotten better about it. The other day, I touched the tail of a lizard on purpose. So I was like, that was a good step, Fernie. I used to catch lizards all the time, and then something happened that I just, I was like, I don't want any more to do with this. But I'm scared. The other thing that I was going to bring up is I'm scared of looking dumb. I really hate even if it's like completely irrational and like there's an obvious reason why I wouldn't know this, like if my friends are talking about the really, like, I like computers and I understand how they work. Like Victor and my friend, they're like really, really into computers, like more than the normal person. Like they know about the stock market and like when a new graphics card comes out, they know how much it'll change the prices of things. And I hate being in the room during that conversation because the most I can input is like, oh yeah, I heard about that. And then like not being able to do it, and then like saying something and then messing up, or like trying to, I don't know, prove something wrong and I don't have the evidence to support it. It just like scares me that people are going to be like, this kid doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's a really irrational fear that I have.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the fear of being like seen like a poser. It's like, oh, you don't know enough about this thing. You're just not a part of the club. Like you can't join, because it's it feels gatekeepy in a way that like, oh no, like I need to know the stuff. If not, they're gonna think I'm the big dumb. So yeah, I feel that a lot.
Which is why when people talk to me about things that I'm interested in, like art or something that I really like history or like the ecosystem or like whatever, like animals in general, I'm like, did you know, actually this, and then I come off really snarky and I'm like, I don't want to be like this. But yeah,
Well, Fernie, it's been really great having you on. It's really great having all of you listening. And I hope you all have a really, really nice day. Goodbye.